Morning, everybody. Welcome to the March rendition of the Little Calumet River Basin Development Show. Tom Wyszynski, Vice Chairman, Dan Repay here as per normal, and
RED.
Yeah, welcome to March. We just had a great lunar eclipse last night that no one saw because it was cloudy and it was 3 a.m. and no one was going to get up at that time.
It
to watch
started
it.
out as being a clear evening when I drove home.
Yeah.
I could see the moon clear as evening, but clouded up pretty good.
I'm just happy that we're starting to warm up a little bit better than those temperatures, and hopefully by the end of this week we'll get to 60s and 70s. And we've had on our Little Cal meetings that happened. What was it? February 18th. We did a lot of things.
We actually had one on February 11th and one on February 18th.
That's how full we are.
So we had two stanzas. So we're at this time of year, folks, are really busy because we're kicking off a lot of stuff, and we're dealing with a project that we've discussed since Dan was brought onto the commission. It was one of our. So when we first took over in 2009.
Yeah, you were 9. I was 10.
Yeah, we constituted a study. Then by engineering firm, I think it was SCH.
And DLZ both.
And DLZ, and they put together a binder of projects that we needed to focus on. And we met with each one of the member communities within the watershed to find out what their pressing issues were. And one of the biggest projects was the fact that I call it a hole in the system. So at Kennedy Avenue, if you're driving over the Kennedy Avenue Bridge going from Hammond to Highland or vice versa, you'll see the wall of protection, and then the bridge is actually below the wall of protection.
By roughly 4.5 to 5 feet.
4.5 to 5 feet. So in the event of a huge rainstorm, and we have certain parameters of when the flood waters hit a certain level,
right,
we close that bridge. So major thoroughfare from north to south is closed during a big rain event.
20,000 vehicles a day.
In addition to that, it requires human intervention to make that closure happen to the tune of how many sandbags? 100,000? 50,000?
It's probably it's at least 30 and maybe carrying 50, but Highland and Hammond both have made adjustments.
It's a serious number of major human intervention is required there. So we've been going back and forth as a commission probably for 10 years on this, talking about it, and I think we're finally come to the point where I think we're going to move things forward. And
I hope so, because I started moving things forward.
Yeah, and get things rolling along and finally get that, I call it the final piece of the puzzle done. So in the event of a large rainstorm, and it makes sense, honestly, folks, because I was pull and tugged away. People look at things for a long, long time. But I started thinking along the lines of, now they're going to make Kennedy Avenue a major connection point from north to south when they put the bridge in over the railroad tracks, and subsequently the connecting point down on South Kennedy Avenue to US 30. So it kind of makes sense to make sure that that thoroughfare is opened up so people can travel north to south completely from beyond I-94 to
30.
To 30. I mean, it'll serve many purposes once it's done. Because then we don't have to shut the bridge down in the event of a water event, and people are protected. In addition to that, after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years?
Well, for you, I think I know what you're talking about.
We've been trying to get approval to remediate silt out of the river
5 years.
At Kennedy Avenue, 5 years, which we call the sandbar, and we finally got approval from the Army Corps of Engineers to do that work, and we're trying to get that rolling along. So that's going to be part of getting this all done. Because in the end, the whole idea here is to make sure that the system is operating properly, the water is flowing from the tributaries into the river, and then subsequently out to Lake Michigan. So the rain event that occurred in 2008, I'm not saying it could ever be eliminated, but mitigated to the point where people don't lose houses, all their possessions and everything else, and create a lot of hardship for many, many people. Because the people that were around in 2008 remember it vividly. In addition to that, we're going through and making sure that
well, we were here. I was here in the studio when that happened.
Of this event, not in a good or bad way, but just as a historical thing. So we constituted one of our partners to do a documentary on the events of 2008, and I think we're getting close to having that ready to roll out, so people can actually see what happened. Because what's the old saying? If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
That is correct.
And we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen ever again.
And I don't know who's calling me, but clearly they're not listening to the radio. Yeah.
They'll keep calling.
Yeah, they probably will. I mean, you mentioned, and if you do want to call, by the way, if you want to talk to us online, 845-1100, that number has not changed in over 100 years.
And I almost called the radio station to unlock the front door.
Yes, Tom was not happy about waiting.
But that's okay.
I was enjoying my time out in the weather.
We'll get there. We'll get the buzzer, and we'll get our producer a camera so she can actually see the front door.
The studio
and
looks
who's walking.
Cool.
The studio's shaping up, and there's a few things left to do, but I think it's moving in the right direction. How's that?
We're hoping so. So in our April show, we'll really have some cool things.
Maybe a comfy couch, you think?
No, I don't think they're going couch. 845-1100 is the number. But you talked about the holes in the system, and we addressed a lot of those early on in the years. We did Georgia Street. We did Harrison Bridge. We did 35th. We did Calhoun. We participated in Columbia to an extent. And the reason why Kennedy was what it was, well, it was expensive, and it's a big number.
Yeah, it's a big number, folks.
It's $15 million. I'll be honest.
Some of our partners have stepped up and committed to helping us with this, and that's a good thing. And we wanted to make sure that we took care of most of the other stuff before we embarked on this. I won't call it the last piece, but the major piece of the puzzle that's going to be taken care of. Probably
along the Little Cal, this is probably the last largest piece that I can envision. I mean, that people would be impacted by. We may have to do some things on the far east side. But as far as Kennedy, I mean, later this summer, people that are listening, you're gonna see that bridge go down to one lane in each direction, and we're gonna have to. The Highland and Hammond have been great, and they're gonna need to help us get that word out, and we are very cognizant of the businesses that are in those different areas, because typically people try to avoid areas they're like, I don't want to go through a one lane. Mm-hmm. But long term, this project is going to be a savior for us from the flooding perspective of as far as having to close it down. It's going to be a great addition, I think, to both Highland and Hammond, and its connectivity between those developments.
Yeah, and part of the project, there's going to be a walking path underneath Kennedy Avenue.
That's correct.
That's going to connect the Oxbow Landing to the visitor center / there's a Wendy's over there, there's a Cracker Barrel over there, and there's all the different hotels.
And then ultimately
so
Highland will
it's all going to be connected
likely
together.
Develop their public works. I know it's been in talks for a while.
That would probably be something that I eventually would look at, I would think, because that area is going to be pretty much kind of a hub of hotels, and now they're
maybe some office buildings. We've got some office buildings over there.
They're eventually you're going to have the new convention center, which we're very not concerned, but we've been very focused on making sure that our stuff's off the snuff over there off of Burr Street in anticipation of the convention center is coming. So we're not looking at this stuff in a vacuum, folks. We look at the development that's coming and making sure that we're ready and anticipating that something's going to happen from our standpoint, or when the development happens, that we're ready to go, and that nothing is going to affect our system.
I think, and we talk about it a lot of people look at us and go, well, you just care about the Little Calumet River. I go, look, we're all over the place. We have the Cherville Ditch project that we partnered with Lake County Surveyor's Office. Was it Edgewater and Crown Point that you guys just approved at the last meeting?
Sourman Woods.
Sourman Woods, which was just completed out in Crown Point. Crown Point just came to us about a project that was, talk about a little bit of a mess probably when they built it, but the 231 Broadway sort of intersection where water isn't necessarily taking the most direct route to where it needs to, and we saw the video of the culverts underneath. They're zigzagging, and when you do that, you're causing the water a big disruption. So we're partnering with the folks from Crown Point on that as well, and then we're working with Hobart with the Hobart Dam, and I will tell you, it's a big mitigation project. It's also a nice recreation project and a focal point for the folks of Hobart. We've identified Deep River through the Rock Riffle project that we did in Lake Station as a key component as to how all water is flowing, and that's how you have to look at it. When we talk about the sandbar, it took 5 years, unfortunately, for that, but that will help flow. We talk about Kennedy Avenue, and that's been 10 years, but all of that helps the flow. I mean, we're going to have to go out there again in Kennedy Avenue before they even start work and pull out a large blockage that they have because the years in 55
that's
when
a
they
good
did
point, because right now, folks, what you have is you have different columns within the river system. And when the river is in a rain event, everything kind of flows down the river towards Lake Michigan, and everything gets caught up at these, I'll call them pinch points, and that's a major pinch point. So I think it was last year we had to close part of the bridge to remove the major blockage that was basically.
We went out there in November, actually, of this past year, and we try to do it before the winter. And then we try to do it before the spring and try to stay out of it from there. So probably about 2 times a year. But it's a large problem. I mean, right now we have 14,000 cars. You've got cars flying off the interstate, trying to make to that intersection. And I remember the first time I did it, I tried to play traffic control. I learned that wasn't a great thing.
That's dangerous there.
So you just bring out the police from Hammond and Highland, and they handle it that way. The work area is safe. The workers can get in and out, and we're in and out of there in a couple hours. But it's one of the big problems is that all that stuff gets blocked. We don't know necessarily. There's no really large trees that can make it there, but I don't know how this stuff does it, but it somehow finds its way to this. And
logs float down river.
Yeah.
When you see things are churned up and we have rain events, then water is going to start moving rapidly through the system, and our goal is to make sure that the blockages are removed before we have a large rain event. And we got rain coming this week, they said, but
most of it's going to be southern Indiana, thankfully.
The heavy stuff is going to be south of us because they're predicting, I think, south of Lafayette, like 4 to 6 inches down there. That's a pretty big rain event, folks.
I mean, especially this early in the season, although it's early March, but it's just something that you will see all your friends down in southern Indiana, depending on where it ends up. But this week is supposed to be a little bit wet for those folks. We're still supposed to get something, but it's not good enough to stop our work. We're doing work right now on the Heart Stitch Stabilization Project, which has been probably this is its 5th year now of doing it, which is contributing to all the silt and sediment that builds up on the sandbar in Kennedy Avenue.
Yeah, once that whole issue is taken care of, which probably be at least another couple of years left. To get to where we need to be.
28 is what our target is to be done by, which would have fortified the banks from roughly Main Street all the way to the confluence with the Little Calumet River. So that's a big undertaking, and we don't like some of the folks that have lived on that river for a long time, that river has grown just because of development from south, and not South Lake County. It's actually Will and Cook County and all the water that comes in from there.
You talk to some of the old timers. They say you used to be able to walk across that thing, and now it's just this big cavern that goes down into the earth. But it's the good news for the folks that are listening and the folks that follow us on the podcast after the fact is we are focused always on making sure that the system is better than it was in 2008, so the water continues to flow and it doesn't back up. Everybody knows what a backed up drain happens in their house, and we think of it in terms of a large drain that we need to make sure is always cleared out and not backed up. And you mentioned out in Hobart, we also we have some nature trails over there by the rock riffle that we did some years ago, and we're going to do some connection to the rest of the nature trails, so you could literally walk from is it Bellaboos? You can walk
you
through
can walk
Bellaboos. There's
through
going to
the
be
county park.
nice area to just kind of keep. You can do a loop and walk through there, and part of our what do you call it? Charter is to make sure we've got recreational parts of this aspect of what we do here, and that fills the bill.
Yeah, and the underlying thing is, we did have to purchase some properties and some houses over the years, but those houses were all subject to flooding, and actually a lot of them were already flooded out after 2008. So two things happen is, A, we take out the structures that are potentially impacted, so no emergency personnel are needed to help them. But secondly, you're going to utilize a trail, maybe fishing, maybe biking, whatever you want to do, and 90% of the time it'll be fine. But into the 10%, it may be underwater, but that's okay because we're not impacting anything besides some trails.
I'll tell you what, as far as fishing, that's a great spot to go fishing. When I'm out there, I see the guys out there and gals fishing all the time. I mean,
killing it.
And they walk out of there with big nets of lots of different kinds of fish. And at a certain point in time, the salmon can make it to there to go spawning.
Well, it appears as though they're tired of us talking, so we have a phone call.
All right.
Adriana, who'd you got for us?
Hi, this is Dan. Question, gentlemen. You're talking about the whole plan for Kennedy Avenue and there being a walking path from one side of Kennedy to the other. Mm-hmm. Assuming Highland does take advantage of the great opportunity with the developing the whole building department area there, has there been any talk? What access is there going to be, say, from the north side of the river to the south, to the Highland side, let's just say it that way? Is there any talk of a bridge, or will there be something along the road that's going to be able, assuming fast forward 10 years from now, that whole area is developed and everything, where all 3 points will be accessible?
Yep, great question. Right now currently you have that pedestrian bridge that's just on the east side of the Kennedy Avenue Bridge as it exists now. As a part of the plan, you will have, believe it or not, you will have sidewalks on both sides of Kennedy Avenue Bridge, so that people don't have to walk in the street, which I've seen done before if they leave Wendy's or if they're walking down the street. You'll be able to walk adjacent to traffic, just like every other bridge. So you'll be able to continue on your journey, whether it's north or south, that way as well.
Great.
And then I think
thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
I think part of the plan also we talked about people have asked to be able to launch. I'll call it a vessel, but like a canoe or a kayak or something. And part of the overall plan is to eventually have it almost like a park where you can
do
do
landing
stuff.
spot.
Yeah, and do stuff like that. Because even though the river looks dirty, it's actually we test the water and the water is very clean. It's just silty because it gets churned up and the bottom is sandy and silty. So that's the major reason why you see the brownish in the river.
We have a launch. I will tell you, we have a launch there where the sandbar is. Unfortunately, the sandbar took over the launch, so you can't utilize that. There will be as a part of another project just to the east of there, just behind Sharp Complex. This was done. Heck, this was thought of when Chief Timmer was there. And as a part of, if you remember when that young man went missing from the hotels a few years back, there was no ability for emergency personnel to get their boats into the water. You would have to go all the way across on the other side by Oxbow and Hammond to get in. And so as another project that you'll see this summer is there will be a launch for emergency personnel only, but for safety. You bring more people to the river, you have to have people to be able to get in there. And, there are going to be cases where things happen. And so we'll leave it at that. But there are a lot of projects going on.
What's great is, and Dan,
thanks for the call, by the way.
Dan's taken the trip. I haven't, and the guy,
taken it a couple times.
The paddlers used to go from the state line all the way east. How far did you traverse?
I went all the way to Grant Street, which is about the furthest you can really go because there's a pipeline that runs between Grant and Georgia. But I have to tell you a quick funny story. Was my mom and my sister wanted to do it. Like, this was early on. This is probably 12, 13. And a friend of mine had a motorized boat it was like a raft, but it had a outboard motor on it. And he hit something. He hit a rock or something that was sticking up. So I've got my mom, who was probably 75 at the time.
Was there a hole in the
and
boat?
Sister.
The water start coming in?
And,
oh, no.
And they had to haul butt back to Oxbow to get it back because they hit something. I don't know what they hit, but they hit something.
Oh, boy.
And whether it was in the water or something. And I was like, I said, that will be the last time I ever advocate for people going on those type of rafts. Now, people use the flat bottom or the John boats, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, with the advent of the electric motors and everything, I mean, you got these the little trolling motors that you could traverse the river.
But it's really cool.
With no problem.
And we've had paddlers do it. I still have a picture with Mr. D'Lo here and the Preacher and MX. And I'll always tell the story when Preacher tried to throw MX the keys to his vehicle.
No. I remember that.
And MX is sitting on the railroad.
He didn't catch it.
And let's just say Preacher didn't have the arm that he should. MX gave it the college try, but it failed miserably. It went right in the water. I think they did locate him, though. But
oh, boy.
It was interesting, and that was with Conservation Mike, Fred. Those were those people. Those are the original. Original folks.
And I think at one point in time they tried to turn the little Calumet River green.
Well, no, that was Tony Panic who did turn it green.
That's right.
Speaking of, well, I don't know. Tony's not here anymore, so we can't do it. Yeah. But we did. He put the dye in the little Cal, and that was pretty funny. It wasn't harmful in anything. It was the stuff that you just do when you trace water.
Like the city of Chicago does.
Yeah.
And go with the boats.
I forgot about that one. But yeah, there's you can do a lot of things, and there will be a lot of activity there.
As you get further east, folks, it's not even like you're in Lake County anymore. It's almost like you're in like a safari jungle almost, because it's quiet, and the activity of birds and animals that you see is amazing. Because it's actually a nice habitat for them.
I'm going to tell you, once you get past Klein Avenue, and the off ramp from northbound Klein to eastbound 94, you stop everything and you look around and you go, you tell me where you're at. If you blindfold someone, they'd have no idea. The first couple of times that I did it, I was still in amazement. We got eagles, and that's. Yeah, I mean, not as interesting as before.
Just west of Klein, you've got that huge area, the Rookery.
Mm-hmm.
And, we spent years to get the weeds out of there, and now you got the nice rolling grass. You still have some of the timber that's fallen over.
Yeah.
Because of the wetness of that area. It hasn't survived.
And that's a constant, by the way.
Tons and tons of cranes and different kinds of really interesting looking birds in that area. It's really cool.
Maybe we should do that again this summer. I don't know if we can necessarily sponsor it, but we could at least sort of give the folks some guidance as to what to do. It's something that's really neat. Like I said, you go all the way to Grant. We built an off-ramp at Grant Street when we took out culverts that INDOT forgot to take out back in, I think, 13. So we took them out and we sort of sloped it in a way that you can easily get in and out of it. But as you go further to the, as you go further to the east, you end up going underneath the expressway, and that's really not you can't do that. It's not safe.
There's points in the river where you've got pipelines that go actually cross the river above it, and it makes it very, very difficult to get through there. And unless you're familiar with portaging canoe, I don't think anybody wants to be portaging canoe. Portaging means you get out, you lift it, you carry it, and you go to the next point. And
the part underneath the 94, I've only seen one person do that, and they were a conservation officer. And they laid flat on their back and floated underneath. And by the way, I will just tell you, that is 500 feet of pipe that comes from the north to the south. And so,
yeah, I think I'm not into that.
No, I think they were into catching illegal folks on the other side, and that's what he decided to do. God bless him. I wouldn't do it. But anyways, there's that. We have 2 minutes. We have the 2-minute warning here.
If you need to talk to Dan or any of the commissioners, folks, all you got to do is go on our website, littlecalriverbasincommission.org. All our email addresses are there. You can shoot us an email. Jody and Dan's information's on there as far as the office number. If they're not there, just leave a message. We're going to get back to you to answer your questions. If you got specific questions, just shoot them to us. I'd like to say we're one of the most transparent group of people that you're ever going to meet, because everything we do is online. All our meetings are online. All the agendas, the meeting minutes, all the videotapes, and we also have all the communications back and forth too.
Yeah. I mean, if you just go to the document section of our website, and you can look up anything. You can look up old studies. You can look at old presentations. You don't have to parse through the whole meeting, because any presentation done by a community is actually broken out by community. So it's like, well, I really want to see the Griffith presentation or the Lake Station presentation. They're there. So with that,
happy March.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in April. April showers bring May flowers. So hopefully it's not too showery, but keep in mind, folks, we got your back, and we're watching out for you, and we're making sure everything is flowing right.
That's it. Thank you, Adriana. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, folks.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes.